and good evening from me, everyone. Welcome to day two. I'm Taimur Nabili, co-hosting the event with Neha. Now, today we are going to continue the momentum from yesterday with short presentations on the subject of tech for public good. These are brought to you by engineering and product leaders from across Singapore's public and private sectors. Our first speaker today will be Cheow Ho, who is the Government Chief Digital Technology Officer of Singapore. Among many responsibilities, he oversees the development of the government's digital infrastructure and digital technology capability, as well as talent development in information and communications technology and smart systems. Now, GovTech plays a vital role in making Singapore's smart nation ambitions a reality, and it leads the Singapore public sector's digital transformation efforts. So with that, Cheow Ho, it's over to you.
Thank you. Good day, everyone. Good to see you again for the second day of the Tech Forum. My name is Cheow Ho, and I'll just like to give a short introduction of the section today on public sector, and then my colleagues will deep dive into some of these topics. My slides, please. All right, next slide. Digital government is not a new thing. It's something that we have kind of started probably about 6-7 years ago. But the important thing to realize is that digital government has become really an integral part of the government. In the past, in the 90s, it was just supporting government work. And then it started to become a critical enabler for the government. But in this day and age, it has really become part of the government. Singapore government, for one, cannot live without technology. And, in some day to come, I'm sure it will be one of the key drivers of the government in Singapore. Next slide, please. But scaling up the digital government requires really, the kind of right conditions. And some of the conditions I kind of highlighted here is, first of all, leadership. Strong leadership is really important to push this very difficult agenda, because it's absolutely a paradigm shift. And until and unless the senior leaders are able to embody digital government and push it forward, it will not move. And the next thing is really culture. If you seriously want to build a digital culture within the government, that culture needs to be, embraced by people across the government, but more importantly, by a culture where a bunch of engineers can call their own. And a strong tech culture is very important, as mentioned by our Prime Minister yesterday. It is something we are very focused on. The next thing is policy and governance. Policy and governance need to keep track with time. It's ultimately, you cannot have policy and governance that was rooted in the past to support digital government. And so, even for us, rewriting the entire instruction manual, IM8, our ability to look at cloud policy, etc., is absolutely critical for this to succeed. The next thing is capability. Now, 5-6 years ago, we started building real engineering capability in the government again. Before that, probably 98% of everything we do is outsourced. And that doesn't make for a good way of introducing something very critical to the government. Today, we have 5 capability centers with over 800 engineers. And the internal capability is actually very important to us. The next thing is really a sense of urgency. And I think you heard from Prime Minister yesterday, we are serious about digital government. It is not a hobby, it's the main stage. The pandemic has also helped us in terms of driving the urgency of deploying digital government across all the agencies, because it has shown how effective digital government can be in terms of controlling the pandemic. And finally, the concept of cloud, platform, and ecosystem, that is critical. We can't live in the past. For any modern government to survive, onboarding on the commercial cloud, driving government as a platform, and working with the entire digital ecosystem is going to be critical for success. Next slide, please. But the thing, like any others, the digital government is like a startup within the government, whereby we are, in a sense, governed by inflection points. When we first started about 2014, we had 7 people. 7 people running a squad, building simple apps, literally. And then the challenge came, can these bunch of people, can agile and digital technology scale up to operate with operational systems, large legacy systems, integrating the back end? And we have proven it can be done. And because of that, we grow. Then the next challenge came was that, can the government adopt cloud and full stack? And that was difficult because the government has always found cloud to be something that was not trusted. There were a lot of myths surrounding it, but we managed to break that taboo, rewrite the policy, and now we are committed to bringing in about 70% of our workloads into the commercial cloud. That's another challenge for us. When the pandemic came around, scaling up was important. Are we able to meet the challenge in terms of weeks instead of months and years? And lo and behold, our teams did it. Many of our teams were churning out apps, contact tracing apps, safe entry apps within like a couple of weeks rather than years and months. But any of this inflection point could have been a downfall for us if we couldn't scale. So the concept of scaling up is very, very important. It's either you scale up or you ship out, basically. Next slide, please. The digital solutions that we created for the pandemic was really a collaborative effort between so many agencies and GovTech, all the teams within GovTech itself. We had a Trace Together ecosystem for both app and token, a safe entry system. For crowd management, we have done a whole bunch of stuff, and I think some of my colleagues will talk about later on, and also a whole bunch of technology solutions to support the community. But at the base of this is three very important things. We had internal capabilities. We had a bunch of engineers that were able to stand up very quickly and get things done. As I said, we were talking about weeks, no more months and years, and our engineers raised to the challenge. The second thing is platforms. Many of these apps were done on commercial cloud. If we didn't have the cloud to scale, and if we didn't have a tech stack for components to be reusable, this would not have been possible. And finally, policy. Our policy was crafted to be able to deal with the modern way of doing technology. Things like the government data architecture and the rewrite of the IMA itself has helped us significantly in adopting all these new things. Next slide, please. And we are ready to share. Basically, we have open source Trace Together, also the token itself. Many of the things that we've created are now open source. And I'll invite you to visit our developers portal, whereby we have a whole bunch of products that we have created over there, all the way from playbooks to source codes to APIs to a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's all about opening up to the community, because the community played a very big part in helping us solve the problems. And finally, next slide. I just want to invite all of you. We're going to have a developers conference. I think we are probably the only government in the world that has a developers conference. And we started the first one in 2018, where we had a roaring success. This year, it's going to be from 1st to 3rd December. Please register. We're going to have great speakers like Martin Fowler, Gene Kim, Will Granis, Mitchell Hashimoto, etc., to talk about things like IAC. So it's going to be a great event. Today, we've got about 5,000 people signed up already. And I think it's going to be good fun, whereby we will also share most of the government products out there. So with that, thank you for joining us for this session. And I'll just pass it over to my colleagues. Thank you.
That does sound like fun. Thank you, Cheow, for kicking off today's session with such a rich information session.